You're probably familiar with an aisle of smart home products like this. I get asked all the time, which products are the best? Which one should I install? And honestly, I ask the same question about my house. To try to find answers, I'm headed to Napa, California to meet with Jason Johnson. He runs a tech company and he's building a new home that's testing how smart technology may change the way we build and live in our houses.
Hey Ross, welcome to Napa.
Thanks for having me. I can see the house is coming along. Tell me about it.
So we're building a new home here. It's kind of a modern farmhouse style. My wife and I have been working on for a few years now, kind of our dream home.
Yeah, what I'm really here for though is the smart home side of it. So tell me about what you're doing there.
I work in the smart home field, but I wanted to make sure everything in this house was off the shelf. You could go to a consumer electronics store, hardware store, buy the products, install them yourself. And there's really three areas that I'm focusing on. Security, how to make the house safe and secure. Energy, how to save money on energy consumption. And then thirdly, really things that are fun and delightful.
I think the real challenge for most homeowners is that there's only a couple of companies that really are trying to control the home. And if you pick their platform, whether it be a smart speaker, whether it be an app, whether it be a combination, you're pretty much locked into that platform.
That's right. So we want to make sure we chose products that were very flexible, would work with each other. I may want to use my voice, my wife may want to use her phone, and then I have the in-laws visit. They want traditional buttons to push and have the systems work.
No, that's great. So you mentioned security, you mentioned energy, you mentioned fun. Let's talk about security.
Yeah, so traditional home security is about detecting breach, right? You have systems like window sensors and door sensors that detects when somebody's already broken into the house. We wanted something a little different here. We have cameras. We have a doorbell camera. We have cameras around the perimeter that can detect motion, and then with that motion, we can look at it and determine is that a dog, is it a tree blowing in the wind, or is it a person? And we can get a notification on our phone, and we can look and we can see who that person is, and determine is that somebody we know? Exactly.
Cool.
We trust them. That's okay.
Good. Don't call the cops. Good.
But if it's somebody that maybe you don't know, maybe you want to call the cops and have them respond. And in the future, with facial detection technology that's in development, it'll automatically determine that the person is safe. Maybe the postman who comes every day, and we don't get those notifications at all.
Wow, that's really cool.
Along the lines of new security, the access control system has changed also. We have a smart door lock that instead of using a traditional key, that uses your phone as the key.
So no more traditional key.
Yeah, you have your phone with you already. So with the app on your phone, as you walk up to the door, it can actually unlock for you automatically.
Wow. One of the complaints I have heard though is that what happens when either you have an in-law that's not tech savvy or your phone dies?
You can still use a key, right? There still is a deadbolt here with a traditional key cylinder,
works.
right? Still
Okay.
works. You can give people a code as well as app access, right? Personal code. Or if somebody's just coming just one time, they press the doorbell button, you see them on your phone, you talk to them,
Really?
and you say, oh, here, let me give you access. Maybe it's the plumber, and press the button. They go in, do their service. When they leave, door locks.
Now that's cool. Can we see inside?
Let's go.
All right. Whoa, Jason, I was expecting 2 stories. This is a full vaulted ceiling.
Yeah, so this is that new popular concept of the big great room. So we have a living room area over here, a dining room, and then over there is a kitchen, all in one big room.
I mean, you mentioned energy. The first thing I noticed was the spray foam in the rafters. That's a huge part, cutting down the solar gain, right? Is that close-out?
It is, yes.
And then you got the fiberglass in the walls. That's great. But what about smart home? What are we doing in the energy front?
So we have a boiler that's energy efficient that both heats the water for the sinks and showers, but also heats the floors with radiant heating.
Got it. Okay, so you got how many zones of radiant?
There are 6 thermostats controlling 6 zones.
And how many square feet?
2,400.
It's a lot of zones.
Indeed it is, but we wanted to have a thermostat in different rooms with a built-in motion sensor that would detect if there's nobody in the room and then not heat that room. And each thermostat has built-in voice assistant, so you can control the temperature in other parts of the house with it.
So you're telling me that I don't need to have a smart speaker in every single room. The thermostat basically becomes that smart speaker. And I could say, hey, turn on my lights.
Lock the doors, turn down the heat.
All from your thermostat?
Yes.
That's impressive. So that's how you heat the house. What about cooling?
So to be energy efficient, we opted not to go with air conditioning.
Whoa. I mean, I can't remember the last time I saw a new construction house that didn't have air conditioning in it.
And in Napa, where it gets pretty hot in the summertime, that was definitely high risk, but we did some analysis around what could you do in a more passive energy way.
Okay.
And we chose to go with a system that would allow us to not force cold air into the room, but instead draw in cold air from the outside during the cool parts of the day,
Okay.
and remove hot air during the hot parts of the day.
So a whole house fan?
And the whole house fan up there, you see it, behind
the
that
intake right there?
behind that blue tape there. And what that vent will do is pull the hot air out of the house and draw in the cool air from the outside.
I know the thing about whole house fans, you got to open up all the windows, right?
Yes, so that's of course a manual process. But this is a smart house, and we want to be able to do that remotely.
Got it.
And so we had to have motorized windows. And so what we did is we found a window company that has motorized windows. But the way that those motorized windows works, it's like a normal hand crank, right? But it has a motor. And that motor is traditionally connected to a wall switch, and you push the button and it opens the window slowly or closes the window slowly.
Got it.
But what we did is we added a Z-Wave controller attached to these motorized windows. And that Z-Wave controller is attached to a web service that will take data from the thermostats in the house, as well as taking data from the local weather station to find out, is it hot inside the house, is it cold outside, and then open up the windows, let the cool air in.
That's great. I love the fact that you guys are taking old school technology and making it smart. So we talked about security, we talked about energy. What about the fun? Where's the fun?
Well, we definitely love to entertain, and so the house will have all your usual entertainment systems, audio, video, and other fun bells and whistles, but we're still a few months off on that.
Yep. And one of the things I do love is that you guys are using off-the-shelf products and finding a way to seamlessly integrate those together. But it's not complicated. I mean, you still have quite a bit of setup time and programming.
That's right. So the individual products work really well, but we want them to work well together. And so today is a little bit of programming. You create some of these rules. Over time, the houses are going to get a brain, and then these systems work really well together. We have a saying called ambient AI, in which the house will understand who is coming and going, right? The actual person, what is their preferred temperature, what is their preferred music, and it will respond to them individually. And the house will just get smarter and smarter. In fact, a great example of what it could do is understand that, milk, you've run out of milk, and the house can order milk for you, arrange the delivery, and the smart lock lets them in for that temporary delivery. It goes in the fridge. You come home from work and you have milk in your fridge.
I mean, that sounds really cool and a little scary, but you haven't moved in yet. Once that happens, I'm sure there'll be some technology that works better than you think and some technology that doesn't work as good as you think. So I'm curious to know where those pain points are going to be.
Yeah, certainly with new technology there is some adjustments, and we'll definitely be making those over the coming months and years.
Well, keep us posted. Thank you very much for the tour, Jason, and I wish you well on the rest of the construction.
Thank you, Ross.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I love the fact that he's working with off-the-shelf technology, right? He doesn't just pick one platform. He says, I like a little bit of this, I like a little bit of that, because I think that's how we live. Mm-hmm. Although when I hear programming, I'm thinking, all right, that's it. You've lost 99%. Right? I mean, no one's going to do that.
Right.
So the programming doesn't make sense to me.
Right. So you could take all those devices and still have remote access through an app or through voice, right? So in the smart window example, he could have had an app on his phone that says, open the smart window and turn on the house fan.
And that's kind of plug and play. He would not have had to program that?
Correct. No programming needed for that. But what he's doing is something really cool where he's saying, I want the smart windows to operate. I want the whole house fan to operate when the outdoor temperature and indoor temperature and it's not raining out.
Right.
When all those conditions are met, to have it happen automatically from a remote location.
So he's taken it to a very sophisticated place, and that's why we need the program. Not everyone has to do that.
That's right. That's right.
The other thing that I'm thinking about is privacy. People are concerned about a digital key floating around out there, or letting the delivery guy in who's a stranger. I mean, how are we going to reconcile that?
I mean, as a society, we have to decide, are we willing to give up privacy for convenience, right? There's a trade-off there and a balancing point. I don't know where that's going to shake out. But what I do know is people are already posting personal information on social media. They're storing banking and credit card information on websites. So we'll see where it goes.
So you're suggesting that our behavior is changing as this technology becomes available.
That's right.
Does it ever get to the point where the house starts to change?
I mean, if the delivery man coming to the door and getting access to your house actually becomes the norm, which I probably think will happen, I could see architects and builders changing the way that the layout of the first floor of a house happens. I could see a lobby or a vestibule. So you're giving access for the delivery man in through the front door, but you're giving them, you're securing them from the second door to give access to the house. And that vestibule could even have a refrigerator in it, so food could be stored there and shelving for packages. Could be kind of cool.
It's like the modern day milk box, except now it's for the delivery guy.
Yep, or the hotel lobby.
Thanks for watching. This Old House has got a video for just about every home improvement project, so be sure to check out the others. And if you like what you see, click on the subscribe button to make sure that you get our newest videos right in your feed.